All right, we have an interesting situation on our hands. The San Francisco 49ers have tried out three quarterbacks. Yes, more quarterbacks. This time, Desmond Ridder, Nathan Peterman, and I forget his name. It is. This is phenomenal content. His name is Quinten Dormady. In all fairness and respect to him, I've never heard of him. He's a guy who bounced around multiple colleges, started at Tennessee, ended up at Central Michigan. Then he has bounced around the UFL. So interesting, to say the least. Obviously, the two options that make the most sense, or at least have name value, are Nathan Peterman and Desmond Ridder. The thing with this that is interesting is maybe this could be an indication that Brock Purdy is going to be out for maybe a week or two. Maybe with how this last week of practice went, with Mac Jones not throwing that much and Adrian Martinez getting the lion's share of the reps, not only for I'm curious to know how they manage that, because you need a scout team quarterback and you need a starting level quarterback. So who's the scout team quarterback when you only have one quarterback available? So maybe that's maybe what they're looking at, to add someone to the practice squad who could be the scout team quarterback in the event that you know Mac Jones gets through this game against the Bucks. They rest him. They allow him time to, not rush back to practice, because he's getting a lot of reps and, doesn't need to practice. Just needs to get healthy. So that's the way that I'm kind of quantifying it. And or they've seen enough of Adrian Martinez and they're looking for something else. Um, there was a point where I did think Desmond Ridder was a decent prospect coming out of Cincinnati. He has not performed to the level that I expected him to. He's gotten the opportunity to start with the Falcons, with the Cardinals, and just hasn't been a good NFL quarterback. So he really hasn't performed up until this point. I do believe there's a little bit of potential still stuck in there. Still a relatively young quarterback. Um, and he's kind of similar mold, I would say, I guess, of Adrian Martinez. So it's very interesting to see. Um, and with Nathan Peterman, I think we all know who the Peter Goat. Unfortunately for Nathan Peterman, in his first real action, he came in through 4 interceptions, and that's just kind of stuck with him throughout his whole career. Even though that has stuck with him, he has landed a lot of backup jobs. So he's been a primary backup for a lot of different teams, Raiders. I feel like the Bills, like a bunch of teams. So he's probably a guy who would be a good scout team quarterback, who could get guys work and then work against the defense as well. Um, Peterman also was a guy that I thought coming out of Pitt wouldn't be a great quarterback, would be a decent quarterback, could be a potential starting quarterback. I didn't have him slated as being great or anything by that stretch of the imagination, but he's landed as a backup for his career. He's a journeyman backup. Desmond Ridder, I think, is on that trajectory right now. I mean, if given those opportunities, I would be curious to see what Desmond Ridder could do with some good coaching, like Kyle Shanahan. What would he do in that system? How could he utilize his skill set potentially? Could he kind of rebuild, his reputation? As we know, the 49ers are starting to build a reputation of their own of being this quarterback rehabilitation system, where guys like Sam Darnold and Mac Jones show up to rehabilitate their careers. We saw the success that Jimmy Garoppolo had here, and what he's done since then. I know that's a lot of the talking points when it comes to the Brock Purdy argument, all those things, but two things can be true at once. Kyle Shanahan runs a quote unquote quarterback friendly system. When I say that, it's not because it's easy. It's not because it's, oh, this is just plug right in. You can do it. Because we've seen a lot of quarterbacks who haven't been able to plug right in and do it. So it's if you can master his offense and if you can execute his offense, then life becomes easier because there's rhyme and reason to everything you do within that scheme, with that offense. There's an answer for everything. Those are the common themes that we hear from people who play in this offense. So I would say that's why it's quarterback friendly, not because it's easy. It's a very challenging system. It's a very demanding system. It requires a lot from the quarterbacks. That's why a lot of quarterbacks don't have success in that system. So I just found it to be interesting though. More quarterbacks coming in. Do they anticipate Brock Purdy's going to be out a little bit longer? I'm not really sure, but we're going to find out. Let me know what you think about these quarterbacks that they brought in. Do you think they should sign any of them? Do you think there's any potential left with Ridder? Maybe. I don't know. You let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.